So what will happen to P. Diddy in prison? If you don't know who P. Diddy is, he's one of the most famous rapper, producers, movie stars ever in the rap and hip hop industry, let alone the music industry, period. He's been indicted for some horrific charges. Let me just read them to you real quick as he faces 2 life sentences: racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice. Take that, take that. Now, all these years, these people been saying this shit about him, yet they've been coming around him. All these years, he's been getting away with some of the most disgusting, horrific shit. Well, now everything has come to the light, as it always does in this universe. It's a universal law. You can only live in the dark so long, Diddy. Now, before I get into what will happen to him in prison, as he's in a Brooklyn Federal Detention Center, which is one of the worst federal jails in the country. Dudes were just breaking windows. An inmate just got killed recently. This has Epstein vibes all over it. Except this man has taken it to a whole different level. I mean, they raided his house, one of them, and usually you see them stack money and guns and all types of shit. They stack bottles of baby oil, Vaseline. I've never seen anything like this in my life. But the reality is he suffers from what's called King's disease. Money, power, and corruption had him feeling like he could get away with anything. And he did for a long time. Look what he did to Cassie. He beat her so bad. Only a coward that has so much inside of him, who's scared to be who he is, does that. I don't care what your sexual orientation is, but what that beating was, that was gay rage. And what's gay rage? In prison, that's when a dude is a homosexual, but he won't admit it because he's around such, tough alpha males, testosterone filled. Like it's almost like that'll make you look weak. So he has so much rage and he takes it out on anybody that would expose him. Who was going to expose him? Cassie. I mean, look at that nasty beating. Anybody that does that to a woman, period, is a coward. I've seen just the most disgusting humans that choke and beat women, rape women. They're all cowards, stalkers, all that shit. Bunch of weirdos. And all his friends, anybody that party with him, they're just as guilty. And mark my words, if they're not going to be indicted, I promise you they'll be testifying against him. All that shit we've known all over these years, and they're hanging out with him. I would never fuck with somebody like that. You could never call me a friend, anything, if I know that's what you're doing, or I even heard that's what you're doing, or I saw a video of that's what you're doing. So they're just as guilty. You had guys like LeBron James, Meek Mills. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Nobody spoke up. Nobody checked him. They were all laughing, playing, because either he has something on them, or they're part of the problem, or they didn't really know what was going on. They seen it, and they just said, I don't want to even say it. You're just as guilty, bro. If you don't speak up and tell what's going on, and you allow this behavior, you're just as much of a coward, weak motherfucker as him. And what I mean by tapes and extortion is that what he was doing was getting male escorts and prostitutes to go to these parties around these high-level elite rappers and all these macho, bravado, gangster rappers and producers and high-level people in the music industry and just period high-level people, and drug them, have these people just completely humiliate them, rape them. Some were so out of their mind, they did shit they normally wouldn't do. Some did it willingly, living a second life that nobody knew about. He recorded everything. So that's why he's been getting away with this shit forever. Because one, he's working with the feds and he's like, look, this person, that person, this person, I got them all in my pocket. But just like anything in life, you're a pawn. You got too greedy. You got too evil. I mean, the first thing you've ever done is just disgusting. I don't know if you guys remember, but one of the first concerts he ever put on, they told him, don't fill up this many seats. What does he do? He overcrowds it. They told him it'll collapse. The building collapsed, kills 30 people. Doesn't go to jail, pays a fine. Nobody hears about it because he's working with the feds. He probably got somebody in one of his parties on tape that was supposed to sentence him, a judge, a lawyer, somebody. I mean, look at Notorious B.I.G., one of the biggest rappers in the world ever. You have one of the biggest gang wars going on. Tupac was just murdered. And you bring him to the state that wants to kill him the most, and he's assassinated. Nothing ever happened but him getting more rich. his greed, his king's disease. But there's a law in this world. There's a law in this universe. If you don't have pure intentions, it might take a week, a decade. But like I always say, time doesn't exist, only opportunity. It will come back to you. It always comes at the worst point you can ever imagine, because you didn't care about your victims. So your energy you put out there, all that evil, dark energy, it doesn't care about timing. You had the incident with Sean Poe, up and coming rapper. He's in the club with P. Diddy and J-Lo. Ends up having a shootout. Shine shoots somebody in the face. Diddy leaves with J-Lo, gets caught with a bunch of guns. Some of the guns were linked to the shooting. He tells Shine, look, man, just take the charge. I got you. Shine gets 10 years. During his case, P. Diddy got him all right. Motherfucker was sending people to testify against Shine while he got away scot-free, and they dropped the gun charges. Once again, the king's disease. But remember, it's a disease. Just like every disease, it eventually kills you. So here we are, now, 2024. He's indicted. First, they raid his house. SWAT team, FBI. I've never seen anything like that. No one went to jail. You know what they were looking for. They want to know where those tapes are. Where's that shit at? I mean, he was on video brutally beating Cassie. Didn't go to jail for that. They gave him chance after chance to come up with those tapes. That was his only little bit of power. I mean, I can't believe what I saw. They raided his house, and you would think it's like El Chapo shit where you're going to see all this money and guns and all that stuff. You see about 1,000 cans of baby oil, and Vaseline. This sick fuck got all these weird portals and all these pictures with all these young, he's a pedophile, sex offender, chomo, rapist, coward, woman beater, piece of shit who took advantage of the gay community, took advantage of women, his own culture, and now he's going to learn what it's like to be really taken advantage of. So he's facing multiple life sentences for those cases I had named earlier. And you will see that many others will be indicted or testifying against him. I mean, LeBron James doesn't just go and party by accident. Meek Mills doesn't just go and party by accident. Even if I hear that you're doing that type of shit, even if I see a video you doing, I will never talk to you ever again. So the fact that these guys aren't only just talking to him, that they're hanging out with him, they're greedy, they're part of the problem, or they were on one of those videos. And like I tell you guys all the time, anything they want to happen will happen in prison. Time doesn't exist, only opportunity. Look at Epstein. Cameras, isolated cell. Cameras turn off. Man found hanging himself in a cell where he's not even allowed to have clothes. And he's got 10 pairs of shirts and pants. And in the jail he's at, 10 COs, I think within the last year, were fired or arrested for corruption. Recently, an inmate was murdered. They had other inmates knocking out windows because the heaters weren't working. I mean, it is like a dungeon in there. Now, he's coming in there as a disgrace to every type of race, religion, gang, organization you can imagine. Number one, he's a sex offender. So you automatically are a target for anybody. So as we know in prison, sex offenders are always targets. But now the elites that know he knows too much, they're like, shit, we could pay him to hit this guy up. He's a sex offender anyway, and it'll look like they just killed a sex offender in prison. And now that he's an openly known homosexual, it's not like you think where he'll just be fitting in, get in where you fit in. No, they're going to get in where they fit in. They're going to extort him and want everything he has. And the organizations that would normally protect him and take his money, like the racial organizations that usually take high-powered people and protect them, and you know, you pay them and they do their time, you've crossed them on every single level. You're a sex offender, you're a chomo, you're a predator, and a lot of these organizations don't allow homosexuality in their gangs or their groups, period. It's in their bylaws. And all these victims and all these people you have dirt on, now you're in a position where all it takes is one phone call to one CO, one drop off, talk to this inmate, talk to this shot caller, and they're going to run down on you and whack you. And it's going to look like they just killed a sex offender, a chomo. Or it could look like he was in a love triangle and dude took it too far. But now that he let it all out and the light has come to the dark, now the dark's going to come to the light on him. It's crazy, but that's real. Take that, take that. Stay out, stay free.